You got a Caitlyn Clark. Someone, the Steph Curry, said, if you can't land her, then you can't keep me. The WNBA better figure out a way to keep Caitlyn Clark. If not, there are other options, at least right now. Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. I imagine you've heard by now that Steph Curry parted ways with Under Armour, and I imagine you have heard what led up to that decision, reportedly. I heard about it maybe a week ago. I think I was away, or maybe once I got back from being away, whatever it was. Whenever it was, I have not weighed in on it yet, but I'm going to weigh in on it now because I heard some additional information. And so let's take a look back. I'm going to look at a few articles, and the links will be in the description of this video. And we're going to hear, maybe it's a reminder to you, maybe you're hearing for the first time, what led up to parting with Under Armour, where Steph Curry is now, and what all this has to do with Caitlyn Clark. Sportskeeda's article is entitled, How a Missed Caitlyn Clark Bid Contributed to Steph Curry Becoming a Sneaker-Free Agent. And it starts by saying, according to a report by Bloomberg, Under Armour's failure to sign Caitlyn Clark to the Curry brand was a, quote, sore point for the Warriors superstar leading up to his split from the company. According to the report, Under Armour failed to match the value of the deal Nike presented to the Indiana Fever guard. The article then goes on to say, missing out on a potentially generational athlete, along with a growing sense of frustration due to what is described as, quote, underinvestment in the Curry brand, led to Steph's exit in November. Now, in case you're thinking, well, that's Sportskeeda, everybody who is covering a story, everyone who is doing research, everyone who is to be taken seriously has to have more than one source. Well, here we are now at Sports Business Journal, and the article is called Report. Curry split from Under Armour due to concerns over commitment level. And here it says, Warriors guard Steph Curry and his advisors, quote, became frustrated by what they viewed as underinvestment in Under Armour, leading to their mutual decision to end the partnership as the division sales were not, quote, meeting the company's or Curry's expectations. Okay. And it goes on to say that they had maintained a healthy professional working relationship throughout the build of the Curry brand, including the mutual decision to separate. So, look, this is the part about Caitlyn that is also repeated, lest there be any misunderstanding about having more than one source. It says, sources noted that one, quote, sore point, we see that term again, that's a quote for Curry, was the attempt last year to recruit Fever guard Caitlyn Clark to join his brand. He and the company, quote, pursued the Phenom, but Under Armour's offer trailed the total value of Nike's pitch. Now, also, just for information's sake, says, according to the separation agreement, Curry and Under Armour have unfinished business. And that's a quote, have unfinished business. The company will, quote, debut the final Curry shoe in February. And so now, let me just summarize. Now he is the president of the Curry brand, but he is going independent. At least that's what we hear at this time. But let's park here for a moment. As I said, I haven't weighed in on it yet, but I am going to weigh in on it before I go to the next point. And that is that Caitlyn Clark, she came into the league at 22 years old. She's 23 years old right now. You understand that the reports are that Steph Curry, whose game many people say Caitlyn Clark models, the logo threes, I think she might even have a longer range than he does. But they're both shooters, both known for that. Other people want to emulate that. But Caitlyn Clark was a rookie in 2024. And obviously someone was going to sign her. Turns out it's Nike. But what we're hearing is that someone who was 22 years old, now 23 years old, is partly responsible for why Steph Curry said, I'm done with Under Armour, because it was a sore point, because it was frustrating, because Caitlyn Clark has so much motion that a well-established NBA superstar in Steph Curry says, I want her on my team, on my Under Armour team. You need to get out there and you need to sign her, because it's going to bring, not only does she bring eyeballs on the basketball court, but it's going to bring people to the brand. And he felt like there was an underinvestment, and he felt like there was not the sales that there needed to be. And he recognized that Caitlyn Clark could make things different, could turn things around. This says a whole lot about the cachet, if you will, of a Caitlyn Clark, this young woman, and the ability that she has to move the needle. What is that? I think it was Nneka Ogwumike, or was it Chiney? It was Chiney Ogwumike who has said, not only does she move the needle, she is the needle. I think it was her. If I got that wrong and it was someone else, you can put it in the comments. But that says a woman's basketball player, a rookie at that, and he says, I want her. And you know what? I'm so frustrated that you didn't manage to pull off this, that's part of the reason why I gotta do my own thing. I gotta do my own thing. That's a whole lot. That says a whole lot. So shout out to Caitlyn Clark. And I've talked about leadership before, and I've talked about the 5 levels of leadership, and I talked about the 5th level of leadership. That is the pinnacle. That's where you are not only known in your sport, but you are known outside of your sport. Obviously, we're talking about basketball, but Caitlyn is known globally in the golf world. There's no world, there's no sphere where Caitlyn Clark isn't known. And so it's just huge. So I had to say that. So much to Steph Curry's chagrin, Under Armour was not able to pull it off, was not able to sign Caitlyn Clark. We know that she is signed with Nike, which is something that some people really didn't like. I'll get back to that in a moment. But her deal with Nike is an 8-year, $28 million contract that includes a signature shoe, among other things. And we're finally starting to see some things unfolding there. Well, what was that Under Armour deal for Steph Curry? The Under Armour deal included a 2023 extension that made him president of the Curry brand, a potential quote unquote lifetime deal worth over $1 billion, and a $75 million restricted stock grant. The initial contract was in 2013 with an estimated value of around $4 million per year. And he cut that off in part because Under Armour could not deliver where the name, the image, the likeness of Caitlyn Clark would have been exponentially beneficial. Now, since the Under Armour split, Steph Curry is trying out some things. Morningstar.com reports Steph Curry, quote, I'm calling everybody, end quote, for shoes amid Under Armour split. The article tells us that he's wasted no time trying some other brands on for size. In his first game since the announcement, Curry wore a pair of Nike Kobe shoes during his warm-up. When the game started, he switched back to the Curry 12 Under Armour shoes that he normally wears. After the game, Curry said, I'm a sneaker free agent, new beginnings. Since then, Curry has used Sabrina Ionescu's Nike Sabrina 3, Jimmy Butler's Li-Ning JB4 Dark Knight shoes, and the Flu Game Air Jordan 12. He goes on to say, I brought out the Flu Games and the final shots and then played in the Sabrina 3s. Everybody should be on alert. I'm calling everybody, trying to get some good product, Curry said last week. So again, Curry is was reportedly trying to go independent, But this article says, but moving a sneaker line from a well-known brand like Under Armour to independent one one will be tricky. It says the U.S. market has massive competition with behemoth brands like Nike and Adidas, whose marketing budgets easily eclipse anything an independent brand could produce. If Curry brand goes independent, it will be a steep hill to climb. And then going down here, it says, I would like to see him align with brands like Adidas or even an overseas brand. And, goes into that. And Curry is letting us know that he's willing to try out some things and work it. He's working it and he's calling everybody. He's doing business. And here we can see him donning some of Jordan shoes, some of the Flu Game, I guess it's called Flu Game 12s. Got the Jordans on here and a close up here. What I found interesting about this, interesting enough to talk about, is obviously number one, how much Caitlyn moves the needle, how she had a part in his decision to step away from Under Armour, because in his mind, if you cannot do right, and that is doing right as a business means finding a way to give Caitlyn Clark what she needs. And obviously Under Armour failed to do that. And so he didn't want any part in that because she would have helped grow the brand. And obviously that's what he would want because his name is attached to it. Number two, notice what Steph Curry is doing. I don't know if he's going to go full in independent. Right now, he's like, send me some product. You send me some product. I'll wear it. And he's just going to, I'm sure, let the offers come to him and then make his decision. Sounds to me like what many of you wanted Caitlyn Clark to do, because I've seen a lot of commentary that people had wanted Caitlyn to get better than Nike was giving to her. Now, $28 million over 8 years seems like a whole lot of money to a lot of us, but I have heard and read things from many people who said, nah, they got her at a steal. Like she should have held out for more. Obviously, Under Armour couldn't do the job that Steph Curry wanted done, and that's why he went a walking. But she signed with Nike, and now there's some motion going along the way. But it'll be interesting as she continues in her career and as her success increases, if because she has the motion, because there's a Caitlyn Clark effect, if maybe with whatever other offers come at some point, it might be a matter of, yeah, let me try out a little bit of this. Let me try a little bit of that. Let me bide my time and see what happens. Because now this whole world of sports, it's not just about being on the basketball court. You've got to be business savvy as well. And Caitlyn, of course, has that marketing degree. Steph Curry, of course, is saying, okay, I'm just going to chill and see what comes to me, which again is what a lot of people have wanted Caitlyn Clark to do. Nike, is it Nike forever with Caitlyn? Well, I don't know. What do you think? And by the way, speaking of Nike, have you gotten your Caitlyn Clark gear? Do you have any of that CC logo merchandise, t-shirts, sweatshirts, whatever else is out there, sweatpants, maybe golf stuff? Oh my goodness. So maybe, maybe the Nike thing was the right thing. Obviously, Under Armour couldn't deliver. 22, then 20, then 22, now 23, making the kinds of impacts that she has. It's phenomenal. WNBA better do the right thing. I'm telling you. I think about this and I go, the rollout of Caitlyn Clark in the WNBA was a colossal failure. We're going to find out whether that gets turned around. I'm looking at the time right now, and this CBA situation is supposed to be midnight Eastern time for the extension to expire. You got a Caitlyn Clark. Someone, Steph Curry, said, if you can't land her, then you can't keep me. The WNBA better figure out a way to keep Caitlyn Clark. If not, there are other options, at least right now. Obviously, Under Armour could not deliver and make it work. Hopefully, the WNBA and the WNBPA will do better. Listen, this is what the WNBA has been waiting on for 30 years. Someone with that kind of motion that Caitlyn Clark has. Hopefully they can make it work. We'll find out soon enough. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.